Hi friends, my name is Nandita. I am from Andhra Pradesh.
Good morning dear students. Today we are going to discuss about respiration in plants from chapter 14 CBSE syllabus class 11. Children, all of us breathe to live, but why breathing is so essential to life? What happens when we breathe? Also, what do all organisms include plants and microbes breathe? If so, how? All living organisms need energy for carrying out daily life activities, be it absorption, transport, movement, reproduction, or even breathing. Where do all this energy come from? We know we eat food for energy, but how this energy taken from food? How is this energy utilized? Do all the food gives us the same amount of energy? Do plants eat? Where do plants get their energy from? And microorganisms for their energy requirements, do they eat food? All these things we will discuss. You may wonder at the several questions arised above. They may seem to be very disconnected, but in reality, the process of breathing is very much connected to the process of release of energy from food. Let us try and understand how this happens. All the energy required for life process is obtained by oxidation of some macromolecules that we call food. Only green plants and cyanobacteria can prepare their own food. By the process of photosynthesis, they trap light energy and convert into chemical energy that is stored in the bonds of carbohydrates like glucose, sucrose, and starch. We must remember that in green plants too, not all cells, tissues, and organ photosynthesis. Only cells containing chloroplast that are most often located in their superficial layers carry out photosynthesis. Hence, even in green plants, all other organs, tissues, and cells that are non green need food for oxidation. Hence, food has to be translocated to all non green parts. Animals are heterotrophic, that is, they obtain food from plants directly, like herbivores, or indirectly, like carnivores. Saprophytes, like fungi, are depend on dead and decaying matter. What is important to recognize is that ultimately all the food that is respired for living process comes from photosynthesis. This chapter deals with the cellular respiration or the mechanism of breaking down of food materials within the cell to release energy and the trapping of this energy for synthesis of ATP. Children, photosynthesis, of course, takes place within the chloroplast in the eukaryotes, whereas the breakdown of complex molecules to yield energy takes place in the cytoplasm and in the mitochondria, means are also only in eukaryotes it takes place. The breaking of the CC bonds of complex compound through oxidation within the cells leading to release of considerable amount of energy is called respiration. The compounds that are oxidized during this process are known as respiratory substrates. Usually, carbohydrates are oxidized to release energy, but protein, fats, and even organic acids can be used as respiratory substance in some plants under certain conditions. During oxidation within a cell, all the energy contained in respiratory substrates is not released free into the cell or in a single step. It is released in a series of slow steps wise reactions controlled by enzymes, and it is trapped as chemical energy in the form of ATP. Hence, it is important to understand that the energy is released by oxidation in the respiration is not used directly but used to synthesize ATP, which is broken down whenever energy needs to be utilized. Hence, ATP acts as the energy currency of the cells. This energy trapped in ATP is utilized in various energy requiring process of the organisms, and the carbon skeleton produced during respiration is used as precursors for biosynthesis of other molecules in the cell. Children, let us see, do plants breathe? Well, the answer to this question is not quite so direct. Yes, plants require oxygen for respiration to occur, and they also gives out CO2. Hence, plants have system in place that ensure the ability of O2. Plants, unlike animals, have no specialized organs for gases exchange, but they have stomata and lenticels for this purpose. There are several reasons why plants can get along without respiratory organs. First, each plant parts take care of its own gases exchange needs. There is a very little transport of gases from one plant part to another. Second one, plants do not present great demands of gas exchange. Root, stems, and leaves respire at rates far lower than animals do. Only during photosynthesis are large volume of gases exchanged, and each leaf is well adapted to take care of its own needs during these periods. When cells photosynthesize, availability of oxygen is not a problem in these cells since CO2 is released within the cell. Third one, the distance that gases must diffuse even in a large, bulky plants is not great. Each living cell in a plant is located quite close to the surface of the plant. This is true for leaves. So, you may ask, but what about thick, woody stems and roots? In stems, the living cells are organized in thin layers inside and beneath the bark. They also have openings called lenticels. The cells in the interior and dead end provided only mechanical support. Those most cells of a plant have at least a part of the surface in contact with air. This is also facilitated by the loose packing of parenchyma cells in leaves, stems, and roots, which provide an interconnected network of air space. The complete combustion of glucose, which produces CO2 and H2O as end products, yields energy, most of which is given out as heat. If this energy is to be useful to the cell, it could be able to utilize it to synthesize other molecules that the cells requires. The strategy that the plant cells use is to catabolize the glucose molecule in such a way that not all the liberated energy goes out as heat. The key is to be oxidize glucose not in one step but in several small steps, enabling some steps to be just large enough such that the energy released can be coupled to ATP synthesis. How this is done is essential the story of respiration. During the process of respiration, oxygen is utilized and carbon dioxide, water, and energy are released as products. Then combustion of reaction requires oxygen, but some cells live where oxygen may or may not be available. Can you think of such situations where oxygen is not available? There are sufficient reasons to believe that the first cell on this planet lived in an atmosphere that lacked oxygen. Even among present day living organisms, we know of several that are adapted to anaerobic respiration conditions. Some of these organisms are facultative anaerobes, while in others, the requirement of anaerobic condition is obligate. In any case, all living organisms retain the enzymatic machinery to partially oxidize glucose without the help of oxygen. This breakdown of glucose to pyruvic acid is called glycolysis. Glycolysis. Children, let us study about glycolysis. The term glycolysis has originated from the Greek word glykos, means sugar, and lysis for splitting. The scheme of glycolysis was given by Gustav Emden, Otto Meyerhof, and J. Parnas and is often referred to as the EMP pathway. In anaerobic organisms, it is the only process in respiration. Glycolysis occurs in the cytoplasm of the cell and is present in all living organisms. In this process, glucose undergoes partial oxidation to form two molecules of pyruvic acid. In plants, this glucose is derived from sucrose, which is the end product of photosynthesis, or from the storage of carbohydrates. Sucrose is converted into glucose and fructose by the enzyme invertase, and these two monosaccharides readily enter the glycolytic pathway. Glucose and fructose are phosphorylated to gives rise to 6-glucose phosphate by the activity of the enzyme hexokinase. This phosphorylated form of glucose then isomerizes to produce fructose 6 phosphate. Subsequent steps of metabolism of glucose and fructose are same. The various steps of glycolysis are depicted in figure 14. In glycolysis, a chain of 10 reactions under the control of different enzymes takes place to produce pyruvate from glucose. While studying the steps of glycolysis, please note that each step at which utilization or synthesis of ATP or NADP plus H plus takes place. ATP is utilized at two steps. First in the conversion of glucose into glucose 6 phosphate and second in the conversion of fructose 6 phosphate to fructose 1 and 6 biphosphate molecules. The fructose 1 and 6 biphosphate is split into dihydroxyacetone phosphate and 3 phosphoglyceraldehyde PGAL. We find that there is one step where NADP plus H plus is formed from NADP. This is when 3 phosphoglyceraldehyde is converted to 1 3-phosphoglycerate BPGA. Two redoxy equivalents are removed from PGAL and transferred to a molecule of NAD+. PGAL is oxidized and with inorganic phosphate to get converted into BPGA. The conversion of BPGA to phosphoglyceric acid is also an energy yielding process. This energy is trapped by the formation of ATP. Another ATP is synthesized during the conversion of PEP to pyruvic acid. Can you then calculate how many ATP molecules are directly synthesized in this pathway from one glucose molecule? Pyruvic acid is then the key product of glycolysis. What is the metabolic fate of pyruvate? This depends on the cellular need. There are three major ways in which different cells handle pyruvic acid produced by glycolysis. There are lactic acid fermentation, alcoholic fermentation, and aerobic respiration. Fermentation takes place under anaerobic conditions in many prokaryotes and unicellular eukaryotes. For the complete oxidation of glucose to CO2 and H2O, however, organisms adapt Krebs cycle, which is also called as aerobic respiration. This requires CO2 supply. Children, let us discuss about fermentation. In fermentation, say by yeast, the incomplete oxidation of glucose is achieved under anaerobic condition by sets of reactions where pyruvic acid is converted to CO2 and ethanol. The enzymes pyruvic acid decarboxylase and alcohol dehydrogenase catalyze these reactions. Other organisms like some bacteria produce lactic acid from pyruvic acid. The steps involved are also shown in the figure 14.2. In animal cells, also like muscles, during exercise when oxygen is inadequate for cellular respiration, pyruvic acid is reduced to lactic acid by lactate dehydrogenase. The reducing agent is NADP plus H plus, which is reoxidized to NAD plus in both the process. In both lactic acid and alcohol fermentation, not much energy is released. Less than 7% of the energy in glucose is released, and not all of it is trapped as high energy bonds of ATP. Also, the process of hazardous either acid or alcohol is produced. What is the net ATP that is synthesized? ATP are synthesized and detected the number of ATP utilized during glycolysis when one molecule of glucose is fermented to alcohol or lactic acid. Yeast poisons themselves to death when the concentration of alcohol reaches about 13%. What then would be the maximum concentration of alcohol in beverages that are naturally fermented? Do you think alcoholic beverages of alcohol content greater than this concentration are obtained? When then the process by which organisms can carry out complete oxidation of glucose and extract the energy stored to synthesize a large number of ATP molecules needed for cellular metabolism. In eukaryotes, this step takes place within the mitochondria and this requires O2. Aerobic respiration is the process that leads to a complete oxidation of organic substance in the presence of oxygen and release CO2, water and large amount of energy present in the substrate. This type of respiration is most common in higher organisms. We will look at this process in the next section. Children, now let us discuss about aerobic respiration. For aerobic respiration to take place within the mitochondria, the final product of glycolysis pyruvate is transported from the cytoplasm into the mitochondria. The crucial events in aerobic respiration are the complete oxidation of pyruvate by the stepwise removal of all the hydrogen atoms, leaving 3 molecules of CO2. The passing on of the electrons removed as the part of hydrogen atoms to molecular CO2 with simultaneous synthesis of ATP. What interesting is to note is that the first process takes place in the matrix of mitochondria, while the second process is located on the inner membrane of the mitochondria. Pyruvate, which is formed by the glycolytic catabolism of carbohydrates in the cytosol after it enters mitochondrial matrix, undergoes oxidative decarboxylation by a complex set of reactions catalyzed by pyruvic dehydrogenase. These reactions catalyzed by pyruvic dehydrogenase required in the participation of several coenzymes including NADP plus and coenzyme A. During this process, 2 molecules of NADP are produced from the metabolism of 2 molecules of pyruvic acid. The acetyl CoA then enters a cyclic pathway, tricarboxylic acid cycle, more commonly called Krebs cycle after the scientist Hans Krebs who first elucidated it. Children, now let us discuss about tricarboxylic acid cycle, the TCA. The TCA cycle starts with the condensation of acetyl group with oxaloacetic acid OAA and water to yield citric acid. This reaction is catalyzed by the enzyme citric synthesis and a molecule of CoA is released. Citrate is then isomerized to isocitrate. It is followed by 2 successive steps of decarboxylation leading to the formation of beta-glutaric acid and then succinyl CoA. In the remaining steps of citric acid cycle, succinyl CoA is oxidized to OAA, allowing the cyclic to continue. During the conversion of succinyl CoA to succinic acid, a molecule of GTP is synthesized. This is substrate level phosphorylation. In a coupled reaction, GTP is converted to GDP with the simultaneous synthesis of ATP from ADP. Also, there are 3 points in the cycle where NAD plus is reduced to NADPH plus H plus and 1 point where FAD plus is reduced to FADH2. The continued oxidation of acetyl CoA, the TCA cycle requires the continued replenishment of oxaloacetic acid, the first member of the cycle. In addition, it also requires regeneration of NAD plus and FAD plus from NADH and FADH2 respectively. The summary equation of this phase respiration may be written as follows. We have still now seen the glucose has been broken down to release CO2 and 8 molecules of NADH plus H plus. 2 of FADH2 has been synthesized besides just 2 molecules of ATP in TCA cycle. You may be wondering why we have been discussing respiration at all. Neither O2 has come into the picture nor the promised large number of ATP has yet been synthesized. Also, what is the role of NADP plus NADPH plus H plus and FADH2 that is synthesized? Let us now understand the role of O2 in respiration and how ATP is synthesized. Children, now let's discuss about electron transport system ETS and oxidative phosphorylation. The following steps in the respiratory process are to release and utilize the energy stored in NADP H+, and FADH2. This is accomplished when they are oxidized through the electron transport system and the electrons are passed on the O2, resulting in the formation of H2. The metabolic pathway through which the electron passes from one carrier to another is called the electron transport system, ETS, and it is present in the inner mitochondrial membrane. The electrons are from NADH produced in the mitochondrial matrix during citric acid cycle are oxidized by NADH dehydrogenase complex 1 and electrons are then transferred to ubiquinone located within the inner membrane. Ubiquinone also receives reducing equivalents via FADH2 complex 2, that is generated during oxidation of succinate in the citric acid cycle. The reduced ubiquinone is then oxidized with the transfer of electrons to cytochrome C via cytochrome BCl complex. It is also called complex 3. Cytochrome C is a small protein attached to the outer surface of the inner membrane and act as a mobile carrier for transfer of electrons between complex 3 and 4. Complex 4 refers to cytochrome C's oxidized complex containing cytochromes A and A3 and two copper centers. When the electron passes from one carrier to another via complex 1 to 4 in the electron transport chain, they are coupled to ATP synthesize for the production of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. The number of ATP molecules synthesized depends on the nature of the electron donor. Oxidation of one molecule of NADH gives rise to 3 molecules of ATP, while that of one molecule of FADH2 produces 2 molecules of ATP. Although the aerobic process of respiration takes place only in the presence of oxygen, the role of oxygen is limited to the terminal stage of process. Yet the presence of oxygen is vital since it derives the whole process by removing hydrogen from the system. Oxygen acts as the final hydrogen acceptor, unlike photophosphorylation, where it is the light energy that is utilized for the production of proton gradient required for phosphorylation. In respiration, it is the energy of oxidation reduction utilized for the same process. It is for this reason that the process is called oxidative phosphorylation. You have already studied about the mechanism of membrane-linked ATP synthesis as explained by chemiosmotic hypothesis in the earlier chapter. As mentioned earlier, the energy released during the electron transport system is utilized in synthesizing ATP with the help of ATP synthesis. This complex consists of two major components, F1 and F4. The F1 head piece is a peripheral membrane protein complex and contains the site for synthesis of ATP from ADP and inorganic phosphate. F4 is an integral membrane protein complex that forms the channel through which proton cross the inner membrane. The passage of protons through the channel is coupled to the catalytic site of the F1 component for the production of ATP. For each ATP produced, 4H plus passes through F4 from the intermembrane space to the matrix down the electrochemical proton gradient. Children, let us discuss about the respiratory balance. It is possible to make calculations for the next net gain of ATP for every glucose molecule oxidized, but in reality this can remain only a theoretical exercise. These calculations can be made only for certain assumptions that there is a sequential orderly pathway functioning with one substrate forming the next and with glycolysis. TCA cycles and ETS pathway follows one after another. The NADP synthesized in glycolysis is transferred into the mitochondria and undergoes oxidative phosphorylation. None of the intermediates in the pathways are utilized to synthesize any other compound. Only glucose is being respired. No other alternative substrates are entering in the pathway at any of the intermediate stages. But this kind of assumptions are not only real valid in a living system. All the pathways work simultaneously and do not take place one after another. Substrate enter the pathways and are withdrawn from it as and when necessary. ATP is utilized as and when needed. Enzymatic rates are controlled by multiple means. Yet it is useful to do this exercise to appreciate the beauty and efficiency of the living system in extraction and storing energy. Hence, there can be a net gain of 38 ATP molecules during aerobic respiration of 1 molecule of glucose. Now, let us compare fermentation and aerobic respiration. Fermentation accounts for only a partial breakdown of glucose, whereas in aerobic respiration it is completely degraded to CO2 and H2O. In fermentation, there is a net gain of only 2 molecules of ATP for each molecule of glucose degraded to pyruvic acid, whereas many more molecules of ATP are generated under aerobic conditions. NADH is oxidized to NAD plus rather slowly in fermentation. However, the reaction is very vigorous in case of aerobic respiration. Children, let us discuss about amphibolic pathway. Glucose is the favored substrate for respiration. All carbohydrates are usually first converted into glucose before they are used for respiration. Other substrates can also be respired, as has been mentioned earlier, but then they do not enter the respiratory pathways at the first step. We can see the figure to see the points of entry of different substrates in the respiratory pathway. Fats would need to be broken down into glycerol and fatty acids first. If fatty acids were to be respired, they would first be degraded to acetyl CoA and enter the pathway. The glycerol would enter the pathway after being converted to PGAL. The proteins would be degraded by proteases, and the individual amino acid, depending on their structure, would enter the pathways at some stage within the Krebs cycle or even as pyruvate or acetyl coenzyme. Since respiration involves breakdown of substrate, the respiratory process has traditionally been considered a catabolic process and the respiratory pathway as the catabolic pathway. But is this understanding correct? We have discussed above at which points in respiratory pathways different substrates would enter if they were to be respired and used to derive energy. What is important to recognize is that it is this every compound that would be withdrawn from the respiratory pathway for the synthesis of the said substrates. Hence, fatty acids would be broken down to acetyl CoA before entering the respiratory pathway when it is used as the substrate. But when the organisms need to synthesize fatty acids, acetyl CoA would be withdrawn from the respiratory pathway for it. Hence, the respiratory pathway comes into the picture both during breakdown of synthesis of fatty acids. Similarly, during breakdown and synthesis of protein 2, respiratory intermediates from the link. Breaking down processes within the living organism is catabolism and synthesis of anabolism. Because the respiratory pathway is involved in both anabolism and catabolism, it would hence be better to consider the respiratory pathway as an amphibolic pathway rather than as a catabolic one. Children, now let us discuss about respiratory quotient. Let us now look at another aspect of respiration. As you know, during respiration, O2 is consumed and CO2 is released. The ratio of the volume of CO2 evolved to the volume of O2 consumed in respiration is called the respiratory quotient, RQ, for respiratory ratio. When fats are used in respiration, the RQ is less than. Calculations for fatty acids, triplamethrin is if used as substrate is shown. When proteins are respiratory substrates, the ratio would be about 0.9. Then what is important to recognize is that in living organisms, respiratory substrates are often more than one. Pure proteins or fats are never used as respiratory substrates. Children, let us summarize the lesson. Children, plants, unlike animals, have no special systems for breathing or gases exchange. Stomata and lenticels allow gases exchange by diffusion. Almost all living cells in a plant have their surface exposed to air. The breakdown of CC bonds of complex organic molecules by oxidation cells leading to the release of a lot of energy is called cellular respiration. Glucose is the favored substrate for respiration. Fats and proteins can also be broken down to yield energy. The initial stage of cellular respiration takes place in the cytoplasm. Each glucose molecule is broken down through a series of enzyme catalyzed reactions into two molecules of pyruvic acid. This process is called glycolysis. The fate of pyruvate depends on the availability of oxygen and the other organisms. Under aerobic conditions, neither lactic acid fermentation or alcohol fermentation occurs. Fermentation takes place under aerobic conditions in many prokaryotes, unicellular eukaryotes, and in germinating seeds. In eukaryotic organisms, aerobic respirations occurs in the presence of oxygen. Pyruvic acid is transported into the mitochondria where it is converted into acetyl CoA with the release of CO2. Acetyl CoA then enters the tricarbolic acid pathways of Krebs cycle operating in the matrix of mitochondria. NAD plus H plus and FADH2 are generated in Krebs cycle. The energy is in these molecules as well as that in NAD plus H plus synthesized during glycolysis are used to synthesize ATP. This is accomplished through the system of electron carriers called electron transport system ETS located on the inner membrane of mitochondria. The electrons as they move through the system release enough energy that are trapped to synthesis ATP. This is called oxidative phosphorylation. In this process, O2 is the ultimate acceptor of electrons and it gets reduced to water. The respiratory pathway is an amphibolic pathway as it involves both anabolism and catabolism. The respiratory quotient depends upon the type of respiratory substance used during respiration. Thank you.